So Bitcoin is in its essence a big spreadsheet or a big public ledger. And what it does is it keeps track of who has sent what to whom. So it's going to say that, person 123 sent 1 Bitcoin to person 456. Okay, that's what it does. And that's pretty much all that it does. So how can this be, so innovative and, so exciting if that's all it does? Well, if you imagine for a second that we just put up a big spreadsheet that kept track of trillions of dollars and we just posted it on the internet from a server, what do you think would happen? Someone might hack that server and try to change the ledger in some way. So if you're going to have a ledger that keeps track of things that are very, very valuable, it's very important that it's secure. That's one thing. And so I won't tell you how that works today, but I'll say that one of the big innovations in the invention of Bitcoin was a method to keep that ledger secure. And the way that that's done is that there's actually not one computer that's holding that ledger, because pretty much any one computer is hackable, but rather copies of that ledger are kept all over the world. And they all have to agree, not all, a majority has to agree on what the correct ledger is. And so if any one, or if even 20% or 30% of those were hacked or changed or altered in some way, that still wouldn't change the full public record. So this distributed technology, of course, only really enabled by the internet to be able to distribute something so widely and easily, is part of the security about how this works. A second thing is that, if we wanted to have a big ledger to keep track of things, it would be natural to think about sort of having somebody in charge of keeping track of it. And so, you could have PayPal. PayPal creates a big ledger. If you have an account on PayPal and you send it to someone else on PayPal and you're both carrying balances, no money actually moves, just PayPal makes a debit on one side and a credit on another side, and nothing else has to happen. But now you have PayPal, a company that's keeping track of that ledger. Okay? The thing about Bitcoin is that it's an open source software protocol that allows people to make their own entries on the ledger in a decentralized fashion. So if you own a Bitcoin, that means sort of two things. One is that you have the address for the Bitcoin and someone has sent it to you. So there has to be an entry on a ledger saying you have it. But that's not enough, because you also need a security key or a password to authorize a movement of that Bitcoin to someone else. If you don't have the passcode, you can look out at that ledger and admire your beautiful Bitcoin sitting there, but you can't do anything with it. So you could say that you own it, but it's not really meaningful that you own it because you can't move it. If you have the password and you have an entry on the ledger that says it's yours, then you have something of value that you can actually do something with. And what can you do with it? Well, exactly one thing. You can authorize a movement to someone else. Okay? But hopefully that person is going to give you something back, and that's what makes it useful. Okay? So that's it. Big public spreadsheet with some passwords and some really cool ways to keep it from getting hacked. All right. So why is that important and sort of useful? Well, first of all, it's the first time that we have a purely digital asset where the whole definition of owning that asset is just the digital thing. There is no corresponding physical asset. And that's going to allow many things. Probably the easiest thing is just that I can send something of value to you digitally with the same kind of time frame and user experience as sending an email. That's something I can do globally. I can do it without asking anybody's permission, without requiring some other institution to do something for me. I can just do it. Information and contractability, making things easier and more frictionless and allowing people to transact with each other without such a level of trust has enabled huge markets to grow where no market existed before. And digital money is going to allow that to happen in new services and applications, as well as making existing ones more efficient. So this is basically why I'm so excited about this technology. Not because I think you should speculate in Bitcoin and buy it at 300 and hope it goes to 1,000, but because fundamentally it's like the internet, a new technology that allows things to happen that couldn't happen before. And we have a whole range of some of the world's brightest entrepreneurs trying to figure out what to build on it. The first wave of them may go bust, but eventually I have a lot of faith that the way that we move money is going to catch up with the way that we move information today. Thanks very much.